Hello and welcome to another Asylum Atelier stream. Welcome to our creative discourse. Welcome to my studio. I'm sorry to running late a little bit, but as I was explaining already in the chat for you guys, again, that was a cold. My camera had 3%. And here's the thing, I might start looking for some excuses, but I believe that this is a great opportunity for me and also for you to see that. Let me just move this away because it's kind of destroying the overall shape of a stream as I actually crop it in the screen. So as I was saying, this is actually a great example for me to be again a little bit more honest with what is happening behind the scenes. And like I said, I might start looking for like a bunch of excuses about what this and that, and simply this is just another example that's supposed to, I believe, that's how I interpret this, to show me that okay, you're making mistakes in your preparation steps. And you are not really paying attention to little minute details. And it's interesting that I'm being very careful and kind of like almost like a robot, like calculated when it comes to paintings, that I'm really trying to make sure and take into consideration every part, every process of creating a final work of art. Unfortunately, somehow, not somehow, I kind of understand that streaming and actually trying to create a different idea behind the streaming, that kind of a paint alongside, or feel of being together in the atelier. It's something new to me. I don't really know the problems, the difficulties that might be waiting for me along the way. One of them is same way as I start the stream, that I have to prepare certain things, I have to adjust, I have to, I'm a duct tape guy, so I'm duct taping everything around. So the same thing I should do afterwards, so make sure that I have my equipment ready for the next day or for the next stream. And this is something that's still out of my reach. Not and when I say out of my reach, it's mostly that I do not pay attention to these things, and then I'm surprised in the morning or in the on lunchtime when we start noon actually, when we start streaming, that I don't have the equipment ready. I could actually link this to beginnings of my painting career, and specifically something that we can relate to, and probably it happens to you when it comes to brushes. For some reason, this is the taking care of my brushes after painting was such a difficult thing for me to understand. That no matter what I do, no matter how I'm tired, cleaning my palette and my brushes right after painting or the day when I paint, it's very, very important, and it's part of the painting process. Same as making sure that you have your camera ready, you have your batteries fully charged, you make sure that your SSDs are SD cards, I'm sorry. Your storage is not full, so you can record, your microphones are checked, all the equipment around. It's part of a streaming, and I'm still not I'm still not there yet, so my apologies for that. And I'm being honest, and I want to stay honest whenever I make these mistakes, because I think that they're part of that experience for you as well, being in the studio, because that's what it is. During the Bad Painting Friday, or during the Bad Painting Fridays rather, we always make mistakes, not purposely, but because we're trying to explore certain things and venture to to a new territory, and the streaming is one of it. And especially, when I pile on top of it the fact that I am not able to control certain things that are outside of my studio, paperwork and traveling and all that kind of a cool stuff. I kind of intervene with streaming as well. I'm trying to manage the schedule as much as I can. I also did the step forward, and I also posted on Twitter that I'm going to be running late 1 hour. So small incremental steps, and I want to show you that I am trying to do my best to better myself. It's not only a performance. It's not only that I'm just creating some kind of a fake idea about what I do, and this is not something that I would ever share with anybody else because that's kind of a behind-the-scenes problems. But since we are here all painters or people that are trying to create and work creatively and trying to push ourselves forward, it's just I think it's a part of the experience. Mistakes are going to be made, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it boils down all the way to that very, very old saying that only people that are making, or only someone who's trying to create something or make something can also make mistakes, because someone who just sitting around doing nothing hardly can make mistakes with anything. So like I said, my apologies. I don't have any excuses for this. It's just simply me not being focused, or rather not being aligned with what is necessary in the process of streaming. So I thought that it's just, I'm going to turn the camera and that's it. I was really, really wrong. And same goes for painting. And I would like to relate this to painting, that painting is not that I just squeeze the paint and I start working on the canvas. So I have to make sure that the time management, or me understanding what painting actually is in its totality, in terms of executing a painting, that's something that I don't think that it can be. I don't think it can be taught. I can show you how many mistakes I did. You're gonna make your own. So, but letting you know, I am making mistakes every day, or not being observant enough, or not even observant. I'm not being. What would be the word that I'm looking for? Well, it's gonna come to me. So it doesn't. I don't want to really spend any more time lecturing you on how to behave with your paints and with your time management. The only thing that I wanted to point out was that these things might happen. Please do not think of this as that is a problem of a painting if something goes wrong. Think of it more as an opportunity to improve and expand on that newly obtained knowledge, newly obtained experience, like I said. So I'm here. We have again kind of a nice weather, so I would like to continue and work as long as I can. As long as I can. Cameras are working right now, so everything seems as it's supposed to. I hope that my mic is on, and let's get right back to it. Let's get right back to painting, to a main event of this stream. So I actually I decided to name the title of this stream is "What Would Rembrandt Do?" And the reason why I choose to do this specifically is because of Rembrandt, of course. you know how annoying I can get when I start talking about Rembrandt. I'm pretty sure you guys are all aware of that. But anyway, the reason why I said "What would Rembrandt do?" is because I have some issues with my painting, or actually I still have some issues, but I had some unresolved idea problems and design problems. And that's something that I wanted to point out and mention, that whenever in doubt, flat out. That's what Colin McRae would say, and I mentioned him multiple times here on the stream. Colin McRae is a very famous World Rally Championship driver, or used to be. He unfortunately passed away in a tragic accident in a helicopter, in all places, you know. Anyway, so what would Rembrandt do? And when in doubt, flat out means actually that if you don't know what to do, just really dive deep into it and go full speed ahead. What else are you gonna lose? There's nothing. You already in this so deep that there's no reason to slow down and start worrying. You just, okay, let's do this. Let's just go. Either we're going to crash or we're going to win. And by crash, I don't mean it is not literal. It's really, I have to stress this enough. This is not a literal meaning. This is a metaphor. What I mean by that is just, I'm going to push this. I'm going to change a lot of things, even though you might disagree, even though you might think like, why are you doing this? This is not even necessary. People not even paying attention to this. That's absolutely true, and you might be right. But I'm doing this also for myself, and I see those mistakes, and I don't want to have them there. And when I say mistakes, there are always going to be mistakes in the paintings. There's no way that I would be able to, make everything perfect. That's never going to happen. I don't think that Rembrandt was able to make everything perfect, because I believe that there are some people, they don't simply like Rembrandt's work. I'm pretty sure that they are there. That's the beauty of it. That's okay. What I'm trying to say is that I have mistakes, and I'm gonna change everything that is necessary for the sake of a painting, and not compromise because of, oh, I have to do this, I have to be there on time. And I know that that is not always the luxury. But also, I think it comes with a experience. At one point, you just feel that okay, I'm gonna do this, and that's it. And people are going to be mad. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's always what I think about. And the worst thing that's going to happen is that some people are not going to be happy with the painting. They're not going to like it. That's okay. They're not forced to look at it. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make sure that I have. I'm sorry, I almost forgot. I again forgot to read the comments. So I always have to prepare things if I want to stream. Yeah, everybody has to. Everybody has to. And I was blind. No, I was ignorant. Yeah, I was ignorant to think that I don't need to. So no excuse needed. I totally get you. I'm pretty sure that everyone understands the situation. A problem is that I have with this situation is that, okay, I know that I'm supposed to do it. The only thing that prevented me from doing it was probably my, I don't want to call it laziness, but I painted, I gave my best during that time to a painting, and almost it feels like taking care of whether or not the camera has a battery charge. It feels like one more step that I did not allocate enough energy for. That's probably the best example that I have for this. But coming back to painting, I don't want to do the same thing with my painting because, like you said, I just really want to push it as far as possible, and I want to see what is happening. I have to say though, for a while, I haven't had a feeling when I come to studio in the morning that, okay, I'm okay with what is happening, to the point that I'm going to start really pushing it even further. It happened today and yesterday. I came and I saw what's happening right here, and it's starting to fall in the place of where I see it. I believe that I'm very, very close. And this is the moment for me that sometimes, and just to prove it, and I have it's not the goosebumps are not because I'm a because I'm cold at this very moment. I'm extremely excited that there are some moments. There are these moments there after what? After how long? After a year perhaps of working on this, not the full year, but almost a year of working on this painting. Um, um, I'm finally in the stage of seeing that, okay, this is where I would like to be, and I should have been there way sooner. Way sooner. Perhaps, maybe. But who knows? I think that the result of this and the way how it evolves, it's due to multiple factors. Me being here every day, and also me trying to do new things together with you or alongside you in these streams. And I am very excited to continue with this, and I don't want to lose that momentum. And this is, I know that this sometimes happens, that you feel like you're on the right track, and you not necessarily lose concentration, but you loosened up a little bit. It's like, okay, I'm a genius, I'm a master of a painting. That's what sometimes happens in my head, you know, like self-centered, egotistical, narcissistic way of thinking. Sometimes it really hits me, and that's the moment when I have to really step back and you know, just, okay, this is like, let's step back, let's focus on what's good, and really push it through the painting, rather than just relax and maybe take a day off and not to paint because you feel like, oh, I did a good adjustment. It means right now I'm just gonna flawlessly move from one portrait to another, from one figure to another, and everything is gonna go smooth. So instead of me planning on 1 month continuing this painting and finishing it, I need maybe 3 or 4 days. So I can take a 3 weeks vacation. That's what is really about right now. And that's what I said. What would Rembrandt do? He would just continue painting. He would lock down. He would really. That's my idea about Rembrandt. It's more like a it's like the way how I picture Rembrandt sometimes almost feels like he's my motivational speaker in my head, that's what I kind of felt, that okay, this is a time when he would really lock down on lockdown. It's not necessarily the right word. He would really what's the word? Lock in. He would really lock in. I think that's from a gaming gaming influencers. Locked in and just let's just go for result. Let's push it. So yeah, what would Rembrandt do? He would just go and create something awesome, and who knows. And that's something that interests me. Like, who knows how many bad painting he has underneath this before he got to where he is. Because we see only a good stuff. I don't know. I would like to see his bad work just to make myself feel better. So let me just set up more. I love that feeling. Congrats. Oh, good point. Got to say as objective as you can be. Yeah. That's that's a very, very good observation, and again, you just summed it up beautifully. What I was trying to get to, or what I was referring to. So yeah, let me just throw some additional equipment here, so I can set up my digital library. I'm interested about how you guys are doing. Do you have sometimes these? Well, I know you, DM7, that you do. You just mentioned it, but I would like to go even a little further. How do you bottle? How do you fight with this kind of a problem? And not even a problem. And fight is not even. How do you deal with this kind of a situation? It's the question that I want to ask and don't know how. It's good tea, good tea. Yeah, what I'm thinking now is that let's just spill some of this paint and pigment through the painting, maybe, to see how it's going to, because I don't know, you probably cannot see what I see, but right now at this point, everything is how would I, because you see it slightly differently on the camera, on the video, about staying cool with the painting, being as objective, and so on. Yes, that's what I was. That's exactly what I was asking for. Or like even referring to myself and my problem right now. When I'm looking at, I see that okay, I figured out the problem with the color harmonies. So in the saturation, and this is where I want to be. You're not gonna be able to see it, but there is so many different, like in this little small area right here. Can I actually, well, let's do it. So you know what I'm talking about. So oops, like let's say here, I don't know if it's working properly. I know that it's a bad shot, but work with me a little bit. So you can see like there is I don't know if it's a properly it's working properly there, but you can see that you have these like randomness underneath. It's still wet, so I have to be careful. But you can see that there is a multiple different colors there. But when you look on the large monitor from a distance, or like I'm looking on my screen on the OBS that I'm using right now, and you can't tell the difference in the value between those two heads. You can't, but with your naked eye here in the studio you can, and suddenly something as plain and as boring as just the flat background starting to be incredibly interesting in its own way in the behind, and it's not pushing forward. So that's something that, and I'm still touching it, that's something that I want to take advantage of, because I kind of like that feel. I kind of like that randomness there. I would like to do the same thing, well, not the same thing, a same idea as I have here, you can see I kind of started working it right here, and maybe I should show that as well. I don't know if it's, let me just go closer to a, well, good question. I don't know. I usually just keep it time limited and move to next painting. So the masterpiece, I think it is. I think it is. I think it is will age bad. But will age badly in time. Then I realize I need to say as objective as I can be. I would like to spend more time on the painting and train my objective endurance. However, you call it so it will last longer and hopefully get to a point I can just keep going like you are doing with your painting. LOL. I mean, you're giving me too much credit. I am doing this only because I am pushing this so hard only because it's almost, and I don't want to go into a, because this is not gambling, but I put everything on this route in my life, on this journey, and I really truly don't see the way back anymore. So I kind of lost that, you know, because when you work and when you have this, because this is still my hobby, and also right now it's my main source of work. But when you there's going to be a moment you push it that far that you won't have, you just kind of, I don't want to say that you burn all the bridges, but you don't have anything other besides a painting to fall back on. And that's when you just, okay, there is no reason. I mean, it's just, I'm already heading that direction, so let's just full descent into that, into that painting. So that's why I said that you're giving me way too much credit that I deserve. I have had rare projects when I put all my soul in and then thought me more than anything. So I think you are doing well. It's rare I can find energy to put energy in it like that. No, true. I get what you're saying. Yes, because that's that I know that you do, because in every, you know, every one of us was on that, you know, what will you call it, intersection, when you have to decide, I'm going to go left or right, or straight ahead, or am I going to turn back, right? So it's really difficult to be on that intersection, but trust me, the moment you choose that path, is just it's going to get easier. And you know, I felt like with the streaming, it's taking so much of my time and so much of my energy. I really thought naively, that's the word that I was looking for. I was so naive. I was thinking that, oh, I'm just, what is the big deal? And it starts with the fact that I'm turning on the computer, I want to stream, and right now my computer starts doing all the downloads for the new upgrades. Can't stream because my computer is not working. So yeah, but it's cool. I'm totally fine pushing and doing it and learning new things. I just don't want you to suffer through seeing me learning these things. But you know, at least it's fun. You know, at least we can laugh about that. Anyway, you gotta love technology, but yeah, it isn't as simple as it may seem. It isn't. And especially it isn't if you really want to provide value for people that are watching it. I saw many streamers and many streams that I was like, okay, but I'm like, what? And yeah, I don't want to. I want to really provide some value in painting specifically, or actually in creative process, rather than anything else, because most of the things that I talk about or we talk about, it's about the composition and it's about the creating art, rather than just, you know, technique specifically. All right. So I would like to do what I said, that I want to throw this right here somewhere. And again, what would Rembrandt do? Probably Rembrandt would check out on Bruegel. How did he dealt with the problems and issues? So let me just go immediately into Bruegel, and let's see if Bruegel, oh, this, again, just beautiful. Do I have this clean properly? I think it is properly clean, just checking. So you can also see what I see, actually. I found this kind of little better, even for you, if I switch a little bit. And you can see a couple of things that I'm looking at. So let me just enlarge this a little bit. So this is what I'm thinking. I have this right here, and it works in terms of, and again, I'm thinking right now about the color harmonies and overall feeling that I have from these colors and how I react to them when I see them. I'm not talking about how good or bad this portrait, because this portrait is pretty bad. I'm not really thinking about that. What I'm thinking about is how can I get this color harmony and this kind of a fresh, random feeling right here. So they are also technically coherent together, or they belong together technically, if that makes sense. And also, I feel that composition needs little lighter areas right here, because this is too dark. And when I say dark, this is dark to the point that it's not as beautiful darkness as in Caravaggio's paintings, but this is just a random, kind of like a black paint. And trust me when I tell you, there is no black paint. Even if you think it's black, it's always a color. It's never a pure black. Pure black doesn't work on its own. Unless you work graphically, right? So yeah. And I forgot to mention that I liked the texture you showed a while ago on the camera. Okay, all right, well, cool, because I do like the textures as well. That's why I prefer to paint with layers, and that's why I'm so I know this is going to annoy multiple people, and it's annoying multiple people already, me repainting things over and over again, because also the texture and the kind of overall visual feel is very important for me. I also ordered another like a special what is it? I wouldn't call it tripod. Actually, it's like a selfie stick with a little tripod on the bottom. So I hope that I would be able to actually. First of all, I did it because I want to do that to-go setup for my travel in April to the academy. And also, I think that I could set it up the way that you could be able to see some of the textures a little better in stream, and I would be able to maybe switch between the views. Sometimes we're looking at the palette, and sometimes we're looking at the textures. So you have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, and a little better visual representation of some of these things. But you know. We're testing these also in the Bad Painting Friday. It's easier for me to show it to you there. So maybe that's another way of showing a little bit more of this. Yeah, and maybe I could do some partial pictures and post them perhaps for us. And I have to. I'm gonna focus on that Discord. So I can start running the Discord on my own as well. It's taking too long, and I would like to be active there as well. So let's see. Unfortunately, RF, Russian Federation, they can't use Discord anymore. So I don't know. I would have to use VPN probably. let me see if it's going to work. Cool, yeah, cool, yeah, that would be cool, right? So we would have a little bit more of a better visuals in the studio. So let's see. Also, 360 camera wouldn't be bad, right? Those are, this is just me thinking out loud about getting better with what I do. So, yeah, why did I bring Bruegel again? Well, because I started with this yesterday, and we were talking about specifically about this, and you can see that I was focusing on this a lot lately because it immediately opened right here. But this is really a great example of the movement and a beautiful transition between warm, really, really warm, to cool, white, light, all the way to black. Or not black, but dark. Right? It's just a beautiful, you can see the beautiful movement. You start with the kind of a directional, compositional warmth right here, and it balances it with the darkness and lightness right here. It feels very weird when you analyze it, because it almost feels like this is a half, and there's a top half and there's a bottom half, right? Maybe it would be better to show it this way. Oh, let me just cover it with a sheet of paper. So it almost feels like I have a bottom, right? And look at this. If you do this to it, it's just orange and little accents here. And then when you look right here, it's almost all blue and cool. But still, in between these two, when you go from left to right, you see the difference, right? Same goes for here. There is a difference. You have completely just, this looks like almost like an underpainting, warmth underpainting, and you have these blue accents and really like white. This is, like a beautifully composed idea, because you have point of interest right here, and you have it right here. That's a diagonal. They're connected with the river. I mean, when you get into a Bruegel more and more, he's doing so much with the composition that it's just I don't how would I even, I don't think that I can really name things that he's doing. You can feel it feels like it's swirling right here, like so, this way, because also you see like he purposely like putting these things there. This is a stop sign for those of you who think about composition a little bit more abstractly. This is a stop sign. Like this thing, it's really forcing you. Like when you look at the painting, you go immediately here, and you are looking around this area, and then this kind of pushes you in that spiral here into a secondary kind of a focal point. You go through a village to a rich people up here with the castles into darkness. It's just, I don't know, it's just it's weird how it works. I can't really. And then he goes with the zigzag into it when the river is. I mean, swirl and zigzag? Are you serious? Like, why are you, what? Right? So, and then how dare you to put in the middle these trees right here? Like, what? Like, am I the only one who is just? And it works. It works. It's a weird effect that I can't really quite put my finger on. And this is, you don't see this. You don't see this scene or this kind of this type of painting in Rembrandt, but everything that he's doing here, Rembrandt is doing in portraits. That's what I'm saying. This is just the abstraction or abstract ideas that they are being wrapped in a landscape with the figures. Rembrandt has the same ideas, and let's find let's switch books, and let's find some of them. Let's find an example of what I'm talking about. Let's put Burgle here, and let's see. Oh, okay. Rembrandt is just, I mean, and I don't know if this is going to work. This book is way too big for this setup. Well, you can see. and I opened immediately. I said that the Rembrandt is not doing this, and I had to open it right where he has this scene. And actually, thinking about this, it's very similar concept, believe it or not. And why? Because the same thing. It's the area of warmth that we have right here against the area of coolness right here. He's not splitting it into half. You can see like this is a 2/3 and this is a 1/3, right? So he's dividing it into that, into those thirds. Same thing right here. This is 1/3 and these are 2/3 right here. But approximately, it's not exactly, but it's in that kind of a pleasing. And he also put it a light area right here where the focal point is. So if I would do a division in the thirds, this would probably be somewhere in that third area. I don't like to use thirds as my guide when it comes to composition, but I can quickly understand and analyze it from that perspective very quickly. But it's not exact science. But I see what Rembrandt is just, look how beautiful light area right here is. And he's replicating it here, and a little bit of here, because I don't think you can see it, but it's a lighter area around against the dark. Then you have a lighter areas right here, and then you have again a light right here. The beauty in how I actually read it. Maybe he was thinking about it. Maybe he was just like, I'm pretty sure he was thinking about it. Maybe not into that depth, because I have time to analyze his work more than he had probably. But what I'm trying to say is that this light area right here, it's behind the clouds that are right here. Then we have a light area that is the front of a dark area. And then we have a dark area and light area that it's behind. It's that beautiful kind of a zigzag that's happening there in a depth of field or in a z-axis, right? So it's a x, y, and then we have z. And you can see the same thing here. Look how beautiful this diagonal is created right here with a light and a coolness of that pigment against, and this is unfinished. This is underpainting that he created, and they look like a cloud. And probably this is on the panel. Yeah, or on the panel. This kind of marks you can get on not only on the panel, but you have to have a really hard surface that you're painting on, because when you press the bristles, the canvas has a little bit of movement, right? You can push into it. It has a little bit of give, so you can't really create these kind of scratches there. Beautiful, beautiful. Same thing. Look at this. This is such a simple. You can even call this a not necessarily monochromatic painting, but you can say you can think of this as a warm and cool study of a composition. This is just a simple, very, very simple composition, but beautiful. Rembrandt, man. What would Rembrandt do? All cool, everything, everything. He's way too cool, right? But I mentioned that I wanted to show you that in the portraits, and this is actually this might be a good example as well. Let me just move it this way, and I will have to hold this so it doesn't touch that. So right here, you can immediately see the zigzag. I mean, it's just, I mean, how can you not, right? It's right there. And if you can't see it, then I'm showing it to you, and you cannot unsee it anymore, because that's what's happening. It's just a beautiful example of this. But then he's creating this portrait looks like it's forward. He's like backwards in the space, and this is a forward again, right? So this zigzag goes not only on the flat surface, but goes inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside of the frame, almost like. Yeah, beautiful. And a same idea then with Bruegel, right? These guys are using very, very simple palette. They're playing with warm and cool, warm and cool. This is something that you don't see that often. Not that you don't see that often. You don't see this amount of, or this amount. No, you don't see. It feels like it's like, let's say when we think about what I'm trying to say, when we think about impressionists, this would be way too simple for them when it comes to color, I mean. I have to put my cell phone on charger, because there my battery is dying as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I have it. All right, is it charging? I hope it is. Don't fall down. Okay, all right, cool. Stay. All right. You know what would be neat is near in infinite battery life. Random thoughts, I know. What would it be? What would be neat? Please share with us what would be neat. Okay, I got it. The need would be near infinite battery life. Okay, all right, now I got it. I wish. I thought that you have for a second, I thought that you have a idea about how to make the infinite battery life for my devices. And I have to point out one thing. I can't really leave them in charging sockets overnight, because I am turning off the electricity here just for fear of random spark. Because like I said, once your studio was in flames, you will do everything to protect it from happening ever again. So yeah, I have to make sure that everything is off. No, I'm not that smart. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just my own personal fear of going through that scare of studio being in flames. So what I did right there, I have to reproduce or try to reproduce with lighter, greener, warmer palette. And also, like I mentioned, I wanted to show you the difference between, this is also very abstract painting. Let me show you that as well. So you have since I'm just moving the camera left and right. So this is this is how abstract that bottom part right there in the corner is, right? There is nothing that you could call a painting there. This looks more like what would be the name? Kandinsky. No, Kandinsky or Malevich. Kandinsky. That's the name what I'm looking for. All right. So let me just grab my gloves. Where do I have gloves? Here. Just see that it's not properly. Okay. Yep. Maybe I could hit this. Maybe I could I'm going through here, work on the crystal a little bit. I need to scrape it. Yesterday, there's some areas that I'm suggesting this, and I made really, really harsh transitions here. Where's my sandpaper? Let me try to. I'm thinking right now, do I have to? Yeah, I think it's sanding down. Would help a little bit. I'm softening edges, and I'm softening it with a sandpaper. So I'm trying to get in that layer that is underneath. Just a little bit. And I have then two options. I can go there, I can get there with the paint in area, and then also I can leave it as it is, sand it down, and it kind of recedes into a background. So yep, and I think I decided to push or to change his face even more. So he has to have his head tilted a little bit more down, because well, maybe he does, I don't know, just a little bit. I need to see a little bit more of his top. This is yeah, because I put the ear. Yeah, I think maybe if I drop his hair a little bit lower into his face, that will give me a little bit more, because I'm looking at that cranium, or the size of a head. All right, let's see. And I know I pushed this a little lighter yesterday before I went off the stream, and I think it works way better right now. It's still wet paint. I'm trying to soften again. These edges here. The other problem that I have, that there's a, where is that? Right now what I'm looking for, it's a razor blade. Because I have a texture there that I want to get rid of, and I can't find my razor blade. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Did I? Okay, well, I lost my razor blade. Where are you? Razor blade. Okay, since I can't find my razor blade, I have to use a palette knife. There is a texture right here, and the texture is a texture of fabric behind him. But since I changed just a little bit, okay, that's better. Because, and that's the problem with the texture, and there's something that I mentioned multiple times that I don't like to. I like to have my texture not random, but I want to decide where it is. And the reason for this is, and also I saw it in the Rembrandt, I have a cloth and the brush stroke that's going this way. And then I have an arm that's going that way. Brush strokes they're going horizontally, where we're extended into the verticality. No, I have a brushstroke that goes vertically down, right? They're vertical, so it's going from top to bottom or from bottom to top. It doesn't really matter. But they are intersecting this arm right here with that texture, and I want to have a smooth surface of his arm, right? So it created it connected it together, not in a way that one is in front of another, but these are next to each other. So it broke that kind of a feeling of three-dimensional space. So one thing is in front of another. So I have to, this is when, you know, razor blade and sandpaper and other, this is when I play a sculptor a little bit, because I am subtracting, not adding anything to my painting. But same way as sculptors are creating a work of art by subtracting a material from the original marble or stone, if you wish, or sculpting material. I can do, and they can create a work of art. Same applies for you. And this is the mindset of some of the painters, that they just don't want to subtract things that are bad and they're not supposed to be in the painting. You have to be, because that's also part of creating a artwork. It works for sculptors. We should take advantage of that. They do not have advantage of adding The moment you chip something off from a marble, I mean, you can glue it back, but it's not going to be the same, right? So take advantage of it, push it, and if there is something that's not supposed to be there, or something that was there previously and helped you, and it finally made okay, it had purpose. We exhausted the possibility of that part being there and being purposeful. Just get rid of it. Okay, and then immediately the lightening of that arm, that's what I wanted to say yesterday. Immediately lightening this arm made this darker and warmer. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have these hands being really dark. I'm thinking pushing it even darker, but I want to push them darker, but bring up the saturation. Bringing up the saturation, it's going to make it a little bit more light reflected. That means it's going to appear a little lighter because it's going to attract more of that, or it's going to reflect more of the light because it's going to be shinier. And we tend to think about shinier things as first of all, more expensive, a little bit more attractive. Ask crows; they always, steal shiny things. They know what I'm talking about. So that's that. What else? What else we need to focus on? Actually, during the weekend, I would like to do a Blender stream because I want to tell you that how deep. I know I promised you that I will stop with Blender, but there is a really, really deep rabbit hole that I went into when it comes to Blender. I want to show you how well, I want to show you what does it mean to do overkill when it comes to painting. That's what I want to show you. It's going to be fun. Hopefully during the weekend, we can do some, like a little creative sample of what not to do, perhaps. All right. Cool. Yeah, I think right now I have to go here. I have to go here because I know what's happening here. I need to work with this guy right now. Yeah, and see how far I can push this. Figure it out. This area right here. I can start making this lighter and a little bit more vibrant. That's what I'm going to do. Not necessarily vibrant. It shouldn't be really high saturation because then I won't be able to create really high saturated area of, these right here. So let's push this a little bit more. And this is the time where I'm going to bring that Indian yellow because I need something that is a little, well, maybe I don't need Indian yellow. I have there, well, let's squeeze it there and see which mixture would work better. I just need to. Indian yellow, where are you? Where do you hide? How many times I mentioned that I'm going to clean up this mess in my paints here? Like 100 times? I guess. Because my question is, how is it always, in what world do I live here? I use a limited palette, I always throw it on the top, it's never there. It's never there. I don't know. I always I reach and I always find pigments that I not necessarily rarely use, but you know, sometimes it feels like I exclusively do not use these pigments. That is this shelf with pigment should be like a pigments that I don't use. I don't understand. And again, I threw it there on the top of a pile. Tomorrow, gone. Gone. If it helps, I have the same here. It's hard to find the color sometimes. Yeah, man, who is doing that? Explain. I know, I'm going down the rant. I have to. It's right here. I have it in my hand. And I'm going to do this. It's on the top. Tomorrow, it's going to be tomorrow. You know what's funny? Tomorrow, I'm going to find it here. It's in a different shelf. 100%. 100%. I don't know who's doing it. I'm going to find out. And then you know what's going to happen. Absolutely nothing. It's just, this is, should probably stop making these jokes because they're, but I like to entertain myself. Yeah, oh yeah, right. You're right. Gnomes, there's gnomes that are responsible for that. They're trying to screw up our painting session. Yeah, I don't, but do they have other painters to bother? Or is it just is it like with kids? I don't know if maybe, this is something that my parents experience, and they like to talk about that time to time, that kids are like, their work in, and I'm pretty sure that people were making joke and stand-up comedy. I think I heard some stand-up comedy even mentioning similar things, but with like really, really funny twists. And basically, it's almost like these gnomes are working. Like, are they unionized or what? They're working with shifts or what? It almost seems like there's just like, can't you guys take a break? Like, don't you go on vacation? It almost feels like like a person who is running gnomes in my atelier. It's probably like, I don't know, like Walmart or Amazon. Like, they just go, no breaks, no nothing. Hiding stuff around. Maybe I charged the camera yesterday and they came and they just, unplugged it. What I'm doing right now, I'm searching for a different variations of exactly, silly gnomes. Yeah. They're so silly. What I'm doing here is right now, you can see that I'm playing with yellow ochre and white, Indian yellow and white, and also I'm going to try, because these are all, well, I try to think of them as oranges more than yellows. And you can see that even though this is it looks like a dark pigment, the reason why this pigment is dark is because it's transparent. And, well, that's not the reason. Let me rephrase that. What am I saying? Because this pigment is transparent, and believe it or not, it's really light, because you need a lot of it to, like, let's just do a little experiment. Like, this is amount of white, and this is amount of transparent yellow, or Indian yellow, if you wish, that I'm putting into that white. If I put this much black into white, it would be gone. It would be immediately Okay. Microphone issues. My apologies. Just give me a second. I just have to deal with the microphone. All right. I'm still using Indian yellow and Queen rose as my underpainting color. The scene I'm doing is more complicated than I usually do, so I'm being more careful. Oh, I mentioned yesterday that it's kind of a cool idea. I have to get the Queen rose and to try work with it. Am I right that Queen rose? It's like a kind of like a Lyceum Crimson, perhaps? Am I right? Somewhere there, because I know that it's a very potent one, but just to just to think of it, it's transparent and a little bit more on the cooler side, if I'm not mistaken, right? A little bit more towards the purplish. Yeah, it's a replacement for that. That's what I thought. I didn't want it to sound. So that's what I thought. It's a more stable, or a higher. Do we say higher or lower light fastness? I'm trying to think that if it's a well, it doesn't lose its intensity over time by being exposed to light, as much as a Lyceum Crimson. So anyway, so let's mix this together, and you can see that this is crazy saturation. I mean, like, no way I can get anywhere close to this saturation. And I'm reminding you that this is already mixed with white. I can't get that type of saturation with yellow ochre, or that vibrancy, that chroma with yellow ochre straight out of a tube, that I can get with Indian yellow. So this would be way more attractive when it comes to shiny, golden-like objects, right? So you can see power of Indian yellow right there next to yellow ochre, and the yellow ochre almost looks like a raw sienna next to it, right? And then imagine, and this is actually a funny thing, is that this is raw sienna next to these, and if you just squeeze a raw sienna right now on your palette, let me just get a similar value. Am I close in value here? I guess I am. Already polluted that, so one more time. Raw sienna mixed with white into a similar value. Not similar, well, not exactly the same, but very close in value. might be too light. So let's just hit it a little darker. Yeah, better. So, and this would be, you can see right now, here we have. So these three pigments are connected. When I'm squinting my eyes, well, it still seems a little lighter, but that's okay. Yeah, but you got the idea. So these are all oranges, you might say. You might call them oranges because I don't have any other reference here. Orange straight out of the tube. But look how desaturated would be raw sienna if I wanted to get the same value as, let's say, yellow ochre. Right? These are all very similar in terms of you would never think that this Indian yellow can get this light, this saturated, or this chromatic. That's a very important thing to understand about your pigments, right? So I can really work, excuse me, I can really work on the same surface, or actually it could be, when you think about it, it could be one side of the cube could be constructed with these pigments slowly, beautifully arranged next to each other in the cube kind of a fashion. So maybe let's just demonstrate it a little bit. Like so. Right, when I'm thinking about, you know, like kind of a one brush stroke. So you can think of this as a one brush stroke, but that's so much information carried there. And when I squint my eyes, they're one color. And from a distance, they're always going to appear one color. But it's going to have such a vibration because your eye is going to be refocusing from here to here to here to here to here and trying to understand and find the relationship. So you're creating already beautiful interest for your eyes. So it's not one flat continuous surface. Of course, when you're working with the graphic shapes, that's where you start. But then when you're developing it forward, you're really pushing a little bit more of this kind of color mixing. Some of them will use quin magenta, but I find the way too cold. Yeah, way more stable for sure. Yeah, a good cheap way to get yellow if you don't want to use cadmium. And I honestly, specifically with Indian yellow, I am a little bit more of an Indian yellow guy than cadmium guy. For some reason, well, let me rephrase that. When it comes to natural objects, I prefer the Indian yellow. When we get to like if I wanted to paint, I don't know, like very famous Lamborghini yellow car, I probably go into cadmiums because you need that kind of also like a toxic almost chroma for these. Yep. So I could hit this a little bit. I don't want to go as much. And the reason why I want to make this a little bit more chromatic, because that will give me a better reference into how far I could push this part. Remember, because I want to work here, but I want to slowly transition. And what I know, what I see, it's right here and this, it's closer to each other. So I kind of like that combination. I can try to think of this and move it here. Maybe not as intense, but that will give me a little bit better point of reference, and I can transition here as well. And it would give me kind of a idea for these two portraits. Which way should I push them? That's what I'm thinking about of how to. Hey, Myron, how's it going, dog? I like cadmium for its opaque power, though. Yeah, you're absolutely well, and that's another thing. Let me actually, since we're talking about the pigment, let me add another information because of your great point that you brought up. You're using it. You like to use a cadmium for its opaque power. I think of these. Well, let's add another complication to this, and that's that if you want to create a body for your paint, and you might think of this as if you're not as familiar with painting, you might think of this as when you go to a store to buy a paint for your walls. Usually you get the white, and then you get these small concentrated pigments that you can then pour into your white pigment and make actual desirable color that you want to. But you're buying a white as a body for the actual pigment. So I think of some of my pigments, like let's say raw sienna, yellow ochre, are a good examples of a pigment that I use a lot because I'm using them as a body. That means that I am really scooping into them because they have that opacity and also that kind of a, I don't want to say that yellow ochre it's weak, but you can manipulate yellow ochre a lot. Same goes for raw sienna, and it depends on the painting. So that will be usually where I start my mixtures with yellow ochre and white as a creative body, and then I have my adjustments. That would be Indian yellow if I need a little bit more of a excuse me, more of a certain a look or certain or specific rather saturation, specific chroma, and so on and so forth. So yeah, let's throw another another thing into a mixture, right? So I have transparency and opacity in the pigments. I'm thinking about the hue, how these hue mix with each other, and then also I'm thinking about certain pigments as you know, as creating a body for my main as like a main mixture that I can then what's the word that I'm looking for? As a main mixture that I can then expand upon. That makes sense. White helps as well. Sometimes it does not give you the chroma you seek. You're absolutely right in this, and that's why you can see. Not you can see. That's why remember I mentioned that. I was talking about Munsell and the Munsell technique, and the way how I was introduced to Munsell was through that color studies, and color studies in the color space instead of color wheel, because Munsell is using color space rather than just a color wheel a setup. And I don't want to go into Munsell because that's just that's a whole nother. I think it deserves a separate stream because it's a very simple idea that it's, again, like a painting. You need enormous amount of skill, and you have to put hours into that to understand, not necessarily understand. You can understand quickly what happened to be able to paint the way, not necessarily paint the way, to be able to control or take advantage to Munsell to its full potential, because I think that was another a natural step. We had like a black or warm and cool, right? It was like earth tones against the cool blue tones throughout the ages, and then it was impressionism, or that 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century, starting to expand with the colors. Started with local color, and then impressionists just push that idea of a color wheel to a maximum, to the point that they venture towards color space, right? So it's And maybe next will be a another dimension, color another dimension, if you wish. That's another step higher up. It was a joke that landed badly, even for myself. Even I didn't laugh at my joke, but you know, it was a try. Okay. Yeah, let me push. I'm gonna go yellow a little bit and then add ochre as a body to it. Because I want, and right now I'm gonna add a saturation there, slowly. Let me see if this would be, maybe lighter. I think this is a little too dark and a little too saturated. So I'm going to grab white, because what white is going to do, it's going to desaturate my pigment, and also it's going to lighten it. So, and the thing is that right now I have this, and you can see that it's lighter and it's less saturated than the previous mixture. A question would be for, where did I put, oh, there's my trash can. A question for myself would be right now, next one is that, again, I'm going to test it against my, existing thing. And here I'm looking at, and I feel maybe maybe this could work. Maybe this could work. But what if it doesn't? What if I want it to be, what if I wanted to stay at this, this value, but I want it to be more saturated? So what would I do right now? I would start not adding directly this yellow right here. I would add a yellow, Indian yellow, with a little bit of white, and I would try to find maybe even a little bit more. And I'm adding slowly. It's still really a lot of chroma here, right? You can still see there's an enormous amount of chroma in this pigment. And I would take then this pigment to mix into this. So I am increasing only chroma, not making it darker, right? So right now I increased chroma, not value. Maybe even more if I want to, right? I'm going to look right now here and see what's up. Yeah, it's more chromatic. It's cool, it's working. And then another question would be, okay, I want this to be a little less chromatic and a little darker. So that's where I would introduce a little bit of black. That's way too much black. I have to be careful with black, because just a little bit of black is just going to turn this into a dark value. And you can see it, you know, how a little black made this way too dark. Maybe not. Yeah, it's way too dark. So I'm going to wipe it away, and I'm going to make it a little lighter. This is more like a mixing demo, but I wanted to bring you closer to the thought process, my thought process, since we started with that idea of trying to key or color key or chroma key a painting throughout. So this is what I'm thinking about. And right now I can take this paint, right, a little bit of this paint, and I'm running out, a little bit of this paint, and slowly starting to introduce this. But I have to be careful. Why do I have to be careful? Because right now what I'm doing, I match the values, so the only thing that I'm going to do to this mixture is to make it less chromatic, not with the opposite pigment, but that means if I have a yellow, I wouldn't go with the purple, but with a mixture of black and white. And I'm going to slowly add into that. And you can see how immediately it's turning into a desaturated pigment, but it's turning towards green right now because I have a blue in it. I have to be very careful not to go into the, I'm going to push it into a limit and it's still going to work before it turns green immediate. Oh, this was way too much. I'm already in the green territory. But I'm in the green territory because I'm next to strong yellows. But you can see that I have a same value, low chroma. Same value, low chroma. Or similar, or very close on values, low chroma. It just, when you think about these colors, because this is what happened, this is what is happening to me as well when I'm, well, not necessarily anymore, but sometimes it will affect me as well. Do not judge this color against the dark background. Judge this color where it's touching another pigment that you're working on. So I'm judging this pigment not against this background right now, I'm judging this pigment against this pigment. And they're so close in values that I can barely see a transition with my eyes not even squinting. When I squint my eyes, I can't tell where one pigment ends, another ends. This is what is called this is how you create a soft transitions, not smudging a paint around and making it mushy. These are clean mixtures that you created and it was calculated effort to get to saturated and desaturated same pigment variation. It's not random. I went through steps and I get there. Of course, right now here, you can explore wherever you want to go. You can do whatever you want with these pigments, right? You can start adding any other color, any other hue. However, you have to be careful. More pigments you are adding to this mixture, less chromatic is going to be. And also, it's going to be way more difficult to replicate that pigment. So it's going to be way more difficult to harmonize the whole painting. I don't know, does this make sense? Or it's just me thinking about the fact that that is making sense. Let's see. Let's take this mixture, this little desaturation. Let's start with that and see what's going to happen if I place it here. Is it going to? I think this is going to more than enough. Immediately I can tell that it's a lighter, and since I have some painting already underneath, I can do a nice kind of a scumble on top, right? So I can grab this pigment that I have right here, which is Indian yellow and white plus yellow ochre to add the body of a pigment and not lose chroma. And I'm going to slowly introduce this, not blue, but in our case, we can call this monochromatic or black and white, mid-tone into it. Remember, I'm mixing only pigments, or I'm trying to mix pigments with this, specific procedure, so I can, so I can replicate this. I'm mixing the same values, or values very close to each other. And I'm going to load that, like I'm taking all the pigments into my brush. And this is still, for me, this still brush. It's empty of a pigment, And the reason why I think of it as empty, because you can see that I don't have like a clunk of pigment on there, right? And right now, when I'm going to place the brush stroke, it's going to skip. That means it's going to create a kind of a scamble feel on top of existing pigment. I think I found a negative thing about working with Indian yellow and queen rose. I can't make dark value like I could with burnt sienna or something. But the positive thing about it is that they are so bright and vivid that it make me feel like I'm ready for spring, kind of curious how that would affect my painting. Actually, well, here is what you have to do. Are you using, because this is a little bit more, I need a little bit more information. Are you using only a queen rose and Indian yellow as your palette? So you just limit yourself only with these two, or do you have some other pigments on your palette? So I'm really scambling this. This pigment here on top. And what I did nothing, I just lightened it up just a little bit. What I don't like right now, I see some of the brush strokes, so I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna try to break them. And these brush strokes are created by, again, a paint that is skipping. It's created by paint skipping. And another thing is that what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to smooth it out. This, I can also use a palette knife and just iron it. And the reason why I'm ironing it, because here, I don't want to have a texture. I want it to be smooth. So I pressed it there, and I'm gonna scrape away any excess paint that I have there. I didn't make it lighter that much, but it's just, it just a little bit. Limiting myself to that for a drawing and to establish light, middle, and the dark values, and modern version of imprimatura method, I guess. No, it's great. It's awesome. And this is something that you have to, it's actually a great point and great experimentation. Because imprimatura, you can make imprimatura with only yellow, ochre, and white. Of course you can do it. You have to understand though, that if you're creating, if you chose your pigments as light as yellow ochre, your darkest darks and the darkest shadow, it's going to be yellow ochre. That means that if you have queen rose and Indian yellow, and they are both transparent, queen, I believe it's darker. So what I would do, I would grab just a straight quinacridone, I guess it's a full name, from the tube, and I would establish that as my darkest dark. That means pigment that I use only for accents. I would then mix a little bit of white into it to create a shadow, and that would be my shadow color if I limited myself to this. And I would have to also understand the subject, and choosing the right subject means that I wouldn't probably do a dark a Caravaggio-esque like imprimatura or painting. Yeah, but remember, if you're using Queen Rose as your darkest value straight out of the tube, then you don't have a straight out of a tube, then you don't have a accent option, you don't have a occlusion option, so you're gonna really run into a lot of problems. So if the Queen is your darkest pigment, I would leave it straight out of a tube as for the accents and occlusions. And also, maybe if I don't know, if I do a preliminary drawing perhaps, just to have a dark lines so I can see, that will be one thing that I would do. And if you work on, let me just paint while I talk. And if you work on if your painting is alla prima, right? Means that you're going to start and finish it. This is what I would do. If it isn't, and you have a chance to let it dry in between the layers or touch dry, what I would do, I would use Queen Rose to just completely cover all the shadows, and then wait, and then I would scumble a lighter value on top of these shadows to create that kind of a volume. That means that I would add a little bit more of a reflected light or lighten it all together. Oh, that would be another option that you could do if you work with layers. Very quickly, the old school method would be the other way around, that you would actually make a black and white or very simple imprimatura, and then you would glaze a bunch of Queen Rose on top of it. So these are the options that basically you have, and you have to experiment with them, because I don't know myself what the result would be. I'll send you a picture of it later tonight. You'll see of what I mean. Good suggestion. Yeah, it's only because I was too lazy to find my burnt sienna. It's okay. It's fine. So ended up using them. I never tried that method. This is a good opportunity to try it if you haven't tried it. But again, if you are already working on your painting, I wouldn't use that in-process painting as my experimental painting. I would probably, set up another small canvas and do a little study. Wait till tomorrow, and then really blast it with these ideas of glazing and scumbling on top. Same thing that I do right here. And I'm at the edges. I'm just really smudging this away because I want a soft transition there. Why do I want a soft transition there? Because I want sharp transitions here, right? That no-brainer. And just, for those of you who just joining us here with this crazy project. All right, so I have this, and that. I moved there. I'm starting to, it's starting to work a little better. And then also perhaps I could add a little bit of shadow right here, because it's going behind his ear. So maybe I could push this a little bit more. Maybe I add a little too much of this here. Okay, so let's wipe this off a little bit. Just a little bit. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect the shadow a little bit here with this. So they're going to be separate here, but also connected here with the shadow shape, right? So it doesn't feel that it's just cut out and cut out and cut out, because you remember when you have a cutout, it just flattens the image. So I'm going to grab another brush, ideally something softer, so I can glaze on top of that. Not necessarily glaze, but it doesn't leave a marks when I use less because I want to create a feeling of a smooth surface, almost like a glazing, but with the pigment. So I'm going to make it a little like so. Maybe add a little of warmer value there. And I'm adding burnt sienna because burnt sienna it's orange and black is blue. So it gives me kind of a nice neutral setup. And the reason why I'm doing it because I know that these were done that way. The shadows here. And I think this is going to work, is it? Maybe. So there is going to be a little sliver of a shadow from his head casting there, and also a little bit here. And I'm softening these. So I already have a mixture underneath, so I'm creating a little bit of that shadow. And right now I can tell that that shadow works kind of here, so I can continue working with it, with that shadow. Maybe this could go a little lower here. Or maybe steeper angle. Let me see. I'm going to shift the angle a little bit. See what's up. Okay, I have this angle right here, so I don't want to make the same one. But a little bit more this way. Would it be possible? Okay, and then what I want to do, I want to check that if it's going this way right here, okay, so I can, perfect. So I can bring a little bit, again, because I'm trying to find these little, right? So it would show that it's a little bit under the angle, also on the top. And I could maybe do it a little angle also here. Let's soften this. Yep. And then very important part is that it looks flat because I see only top. I see only front. I don't see top, but I see bottom. So we need to create a shadow right here. So I'm going to grab that shadow, the same thing, and I'm going to add a little bit of the bottom edge right here to create thickness also. So I see the underneath of that. I can actually push it even more, and since it's wood, I can maybe go slightly warmer and a little darker. I need a little darker edge there. Nice. And a little bit warmer. Maybe a little more. This is getting too warm again, so I can get a little darker. And this is really, these are increments. See, this might have been too much. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Since it's not as thick of an application, so maybe, yeah, I think this is okay. Then he has a fingers there, and a little bit of this, all the way to the edge, right there. Right, so I created a little bit of the edge underneath, and that kind of gave me a little bit of three-dimensionality. I think it should be a little thicker because these icons were kind of thick slabs of wood, and the reason is because they wanted to prevent it from bending. I think that's what they were, because it's a wood, it's working, and you can see you might have asked, like, why is everything warped when it comes to icons and like a paintings on the wood, because wood is working. It's still natural, kind of a. And usually it was also to prevent that, because the big slab it's really warping. So they tend to, you know, like make a, like put wood, wood together and secure these wood panels together. And again, soft transition. Right there, and maybe I could offset it a little bit. So again, I want to create a little bit of angle, so we're going up just a little bit here, like so, and then lower right here. Lower right here. Right, so it has kind of a rotation a little bit. Yeah, I think this is going to work. I think it's starting to look like it's in the background. And perhaps I could push it a little bit more. Maybe you could catch some light around here. So what I'm going to do, I'm thinking that maybe it's catching some of light up there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a mixture of nice, a little lighter. A little bit of this. And the same thing, I'm just going to, same brush, more saturation, and let's get a little bit of, you know, like somewhere in these areas, there might be a light. Catching a little bit more light, a little bit more reflection, because perhaps that area is being reflected a little bit more there. And then this is very straight edge, so. And since this is a wood and it's supposed to warp and all that kind of stuff, I don't like that straight edge right there. So it has to go softer, because right now it's a little too much. And the problem is, I see it right now. This is the problem, because I created, I remember why I did. Okay, now it makes sense why it was. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll just, can I change this a little bit? No, I don't think I can. I don't think I can do that. Or can I? Okay. A little bit of fine tuning has to happen right now. Let me maybe do this. Let me just throw this right here, like a. Scratching it a little bit because there was too much of a paint there. So just slowly. And you can see how suddenly it's starting to change, right? You can see this is different, but the problem is that from here to here and here to here is the same. It's not a problem. That's how icons are created. It's just creating 1, 2, 3, 4 same directions. So I don't like that. the composition is repeating itself, or the design that I created is just too repetitive. So let's get a little darker here. I want to use this. And you can see like this and this is the same value right now, so I can start mixing them together. And if you look closely, these two mixtures, well, I don't think you can see it, but right now, because they are the same value, they don't mix the way that they would just desaturate each other. Right? Even though these are pigments that should create a kind of a mushy mess, but if you have the same value and you don't overmix it, even if you just try to mix it a lot, it's still going to be like some area are going to be one pigment and some area is going to be another pigment. You don't need to overmix them, just fully incorporate them there and then just, mix even more and more and more, because then you're going to really get into that muddy stage. Right, but it takes me a while to get that perfect one continuous mixture. And I don't really, this is more demonstrative way to, this is more like a demonstration rather than just the way that I would paint unnecessarily. But this is a good way to find the mistakes, not necessarily find the mistakes, but be consistent. And I need to get from this that was kind of a creative and just having fun throwing pigments around. I want to replicate it here. So then I have to kind of find the way. I have to follow a certain procedure. I don't know if that's even a word. And you can see when you add a medium to it, it changed. It changed. To change it a little bit. Okay, so I moved it. I mixed the pigment of a background and I moved it a little bit back where it was before. And right now, since I got this is a very important part. So I have this really kind of a light yellow here. That means it's going to reflect into him. So I'm just going to, right, really with the same brush, just scumble into him. Because that's going to reflect a lot of light into his face there. So I did the same thing to him. Even though I liked the way that he was painted, he needs to be a little bit more accurate, let's say. I mean, he was okay to this point. Right now, it's not okay, so he needs to be changed or repainted or whatever word works here. And then next thing, I have problems with these icons because I'm painting them not even knowing how they look. So another step would be right now the research of how like the pictures of icons, and I would look in not necessarily on icons but into a corners and how they are treated, the corners, how rough they are. Maybe there's some not scars, some chips, like something chipped away from there because they're removing it. There is a plenty of, because like having it only like this, it looks way too artificial. Same goes for a book. I'm thinking about this as a placement holder, and then we need to start thinking about, oh, it has a thickness there's a wear and tear on there because they're moving with it, they're still opening it, they're touching it, so it just so it doesn't look artificial, so it doesn't look that it's a machine almost made. Because everything that is here on this painting in this era was made by hand, and the precision was very, very close to ideal, but it wasn't like, you know, like a micro or nanomillimeters, rather. I heard like a, I don't know how big it is, nanomillimeters in what did they say, in freedometrics. In freedometric, I don't know how many inches it is. But it's slowly, right now I'm starting to see the pattern. I kind of like it. So I see here, here, and here. I like that a visual thing. The problem that I have is that this diagonal right now, this diagonal here, it's way too I need to break it because it's way too straight, right? So I have to break it maybe like with something like a shadow from this guy right here. Let's put it there right away so I can see, since I have a little bit of this dark bluish value, if we hit a little bit of a shadow right here to break that. A little bit more here. Yeah. And it's just a darker shape. It could be shadow, it could be some different kind of plants right there. It could be some other thing. It's just too much. I cheated, added a bit blue to the sky. All right, that's a cheat. That's a cheat. It looks like oversaturated modern painting at the moment, but it makes me feel cheerful. So all good. Yes, that you know, you're like I said, I'm making this painting for myself, as well as for other people to look at. So I want to have fun with it, and I want to add things that I like here. And if there are people that like different things, you are more than welcome to, you know, paint a different scene or paint even the same subject, a same idea. Show me a different variation, and I'm going to be the first one to admit that that this is not the only way to deal with this subject, process, painting, technique, you know, fill the blank. Yeah, so it's lighter there, and right now we need to think of this as a little bit of that yellow into his face reflection, but it has to, that yellow should be in the shadow, visible the most. So let me just go there and work a little bit there. Oop. Okay, this, a little bit of this into it. so I don't have such a dark, a little darker. Yeah, cool. Let's see if this is a good, yeah, cool. All right, so this is going to be a shadow that's going to be cast, reflected into. So I spread it there. But you have to be very, and right now, important part is, I started to add detail there, right? It's not necessarily detail. I started to develop it more, to make it a little bit more clear, to be a little bit more decisive with these things. That means I'm adding more ideas here. It's going to require okay, this is better. It's going to require more information on his face as well, right? It can't stay just like that. Because if I were to leave it as it is right now, there's nothing wrong with it, but I am adding more detail here. I add the reflected light. That means if I want it to be perceived as a reflected light, I have to make a core shadow and I have to make a light. You can't just paint the reflected light into nowhere, right? Reflected light, the phenomena of reflected light is that it's being reflected into a shadow. If you want to reflect light into a shadow, you have to paint a shadow, right? So if you want to paint a shadow, I have to beautifully create that shadow the same way, not in such a detail, same way as here, right? Because this information right here, it's going to translate here as well. Your brain, it's going to fill all these other parts, here based on what you saw here, or based on experience. That's what we do all the time. So I don't need all the detail, but I need to have some detail. And some detail in this case is a shadow. Your painting looks so good. You like it? I'm so glad that you like it. Thank you, I appreciate it. And you're not gonna believe me. Yesterday, I was watching a first YouTube video. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. A painting, I mean, the video as well, but the video haven't changed, but painting changed. That's for sure. But this is nothing that you cannot do, and I encourage you to follow just not necessarily what I do, but follow the principle of creating anything, right? We always start with that broad idea, and then we slowly get to the point that we are into details. We're just so used to think that sooner I get to details, the sooner a painting is going to be finished. And you're right. You are right, because I have a highlight in his eye that said, boom, the painting is done. But I still need to convey more of a volume. I don't feel that I have enough volume. I don't feel these figures are going to just about to step out of a painting and actually not even step out of it. I almost want them to actually going towards you. And I have this experience 2 days ago. I was walking on the in the historic city uphill, because it's a up and down here. It's a mountainous region, right? So the center of the city, the historic center, is kind of curved uphill, and I was looking, on the street towards the goal, towards my destination, and I saw people approaching me, missionary people. and I was like, oh, that's what I'm looking. I want you. That's the visual that I'm looking for. I want them to almost feel like they're approaching you, almost into the point of, oh, I don't want to talk to them. They're going to talk about Jesus with me. I don't want to talk to them. Oh, great. Now I have to look at it. I remember taking a peek, but I want to rewatch now that you mention it. Yeah, it's pretty bad with that first paintings. It's not bad, but and the funny thing is that I was as excited as it progresses as I am right now. Thinking back, I was like, fool of a took. That's what I was. It's just, not even knowing where I'm heading towards to. So it's just. I definitely felt that from your painting. I'll step aside and hope they'll pass me. Okay, so if you have that feeling, that's awesome, because that's what I could not quite understand what exactly should these two figures do in terms of, well, I had it in my head as I want them to be approachable, but I see, and I didn't understand why people react on this painting this way, because we are used to really avoid a missionary, like you, not even missionaries. You just present day, unfortunately, less communication outside that I have, less interaction that I have outside. That's what is desired these days for some reason. Well, for multiple reasons that I don't want to get into, specifically because you don't know you're going to run into and what trouble you can get into. But most of the times we're trying to avoid eye contact. We're trying to avoid these conversation on the streets, unless we know that people, unless we know those people, rather. So I'm glad that welcome to Oral World. It's a wild journey. It is a wild journey. Yeah, it is a wild journey, and I'm enjoying it fully enjoying it. I actually some of my family joined stream yesterday, and they told me that I was laughing the whole time. So I'm really enjoying to be here. What can I say? I really do. So I hit a little bit more with the reflection, and let me bring a little bit more of a. Well, maybe I can use this. Yeah, I can use this. And just touch of the, just a little bit. I want to create really desaturated pigment, like a desaturated skin tone, rather. And scumbling on the top. And you can see that slowly he's starting to go forward. Like he's going to be a little bit more prominent there, right? And it served a great purpose there while it was, but right now he needs to get closer. Because I want this guy to be closer, right? So he needs to go a little bit more with the detail, or I have to get a little bit more detail in him. So I'm scumbling that lighter value there. But you have to also take into consideration the fact that when you're scumbling, you already have to have some volume underneath. Because if you're scumble on the flat surface, there's no, I mean, you're gonna be you're going to be very unhappy with the result, trust me. Also connected with the background, so it kind of disappears into a background. And then again, I can bring it up, bring it back by just making slightly darker value maybe here, just to suggest a turn a little bit on the top, a little bit under here, because his head is going to be, because his head is lit by the sunlight, right? So it has to be lighter on the top, not lighter, warmer on the top, and as it goes down, as he's bent forward, it's getting cooler. Just to demonstrate what I mean, you just because I'm thinking about him as a, maybe I can go with this. I'm thinking about him as a round shape, right? So this is where the light is going to hit the most. It's right here. And you can see, like, I'm thinking about him as a sphere, or, and that disappears here, right? And that mistake would be, and that's plenty of mistakes I did in these, would be that I would approach this as I would render a normal portrait. So I would hit this as a lighter spot right here, then I would render these things, and then put the even lighter area around here. Actually, the whole this thing can actually go into shadow if I so choose. Like hold the mouth, and this could just disappear darker, because this is where I want it to be the lightest area. That's when that's where it's being hit by the light the most. And he's leaning towards the yellow because I was reflecting it too much. So let's maybe desaturate him a little bit. And not desaturate him. Instead of turning him to yellow, let's go a little bit more towards purplish, pinkish, because he's in the background. So this would be maybe better. Ear a little bit, maybe here. Maybe a little bit right on the top, so we create these landmarks, just a touch. Just a little bit. And you can see, like, these are the only things that right now are in light, and nothing else needs to be there. It looks way too light right now, way too light. And I understand that I have to wait till tomorrow, because also, this guy right here, same issue, same problem. He's too dark right now. Too dark. Compared to a background and compared to a figure next to him. It worked while this figure was the value before. I, punched this 2 or 3 values. This one is 2 or even 3 values lighter than it was before, plus it's way more saturated. So right now, because it's a fresh paint on already a dried paint right there, I will wait, and it's a scambling, so I will wait a little bit. It sits down and it slowly recedes back, and also then I will help it with scraping it a little bit with razor blade. And what is going to happen, scraping it with a razor blade, the rough surface that I have here, right? I still have a brush strokes. It will soften and it will reveal a little bit of underpainting, so it darkens up a little bit, just a little bit. And I can tell immediately that suddenly they're starting to be a little bit more alive. Look right now on the difference, and you can see it on the screen. Look at the difference between the portraits, not only in the facial expression, but also with the colors and values. So right now you are going 1, 2, 3, jump right here, here, and there. These guys are definitely in the background. The moment that I would punch this, you're gonna go from him to him as well. And my question is, do I want to include him as I had them before as a duo? I believe I won't, because I don't want to have two similar faces from one side and to another side, because I'm thinking about this as a separate portrait right now, and I need him to be a little bit more prominent. But you can see how you're jumping from one portrait to another as I want you to, and not as you want to, whether you believe it or not, only because of the moving and changing the saturation or chroma. So right now you can see that I created something that, going back to what would Rembrandt do when we talked about that night watch. Because Rembrandt showed you with the light the direction of what you're supposed to look at. So you have a kind of a train of portrait, light portrait, portrait, light portrait, portrait, light portrait. I want to go here, dark portrait, light portrait, right? So do you see the chain of the light kind of a, if you think abstractly, and right now, what would it be? It would be let's say a dark background, and I would put abstract brushstroke here, 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 there, and there, and then I would do this with the light brush, and that's what the composition with the saturation with the light means. When I was talking about it, it was hard to explain, but right now I hope you can see it. The chain of the light that is on their faces. Right? And right now I am in and when you think about that orchestra, I am in that driving seat. I'm conducting the way how you, as a viewer, perceive a music that, that is created by a group of individuals. So the colors are the members of orchestra, and they're all very strong and very powerful on its own, but combining them nicely will give a viewer a certain sense of what you're trying to convey. That's why I believe that the great composers I think that they had this in mind when they were composing. That's orchestra, and there's let's move and let's the different types of instruments shine throughout the piece to create one beautiful melody. And then you have conductors, or what dirigents? I don't know what you call it. The conductor. I think it's a conductor. The one with that's standing in front of the orchestra and conducting them. I think it's a conductor. I don't. You know what I mean? It's the guy with the. It is the. I always wanted to be that guy. For some reason, I don't know why with music, but I always wanted to be able to. In my mind, it's not about the music, but I love that idea that he's able to organize another human beings so they are able to sync together and create a one. It's just the best example of, I don't want to say camaraderie, because I don't think that they, they do not always have to like each other to play a beautiful music together. And I think the Pink Floyd is probably the best example of that, if there is any to choose from. The Pink Floyd is just, Pink Floyd is a group that I truly deeply love their music, but I think it's a group of people, group of individuals on their own when they got together and they created this. But the amount of greatness sometimes does not work. Sometimes it's like a magnet that you're trying to push them together with the same, with the same poles. Those have to be opposite. But that's yeah, and you can choose, and this is something that you can choose to work with, because I could trick your mind, and that would be, maybe we can try to do. I don't know if I should do it, but let's imagine that I would actually switch these two. Like I would treat it, this portrait with amount of detail that is here, and this guy would be treated as simple as this guy. I can tell you with a certainty that you would have a problem with that visually. But it might be a cool experiment. I'm almost tempted to do that. I'm almost tempted to do that to see what's up. I'm sorry. Because it goes back to the fact that when you're approaching these people, and they're actually approaching you, as you mentioned, you're trying to not look at them, so you don't have that eye contact, because that's what they are seeking, that's what they're looking for. So, just thinking about that, having them just the blank stares, like you don't see their eyes, nothing, and then pushing this to a complete render, like I would treat this one, would kind of create the idea that you don't want to look on them, you want to look there, because you don't want to give them the direct eye contact, but you still want to see what's happening and why they are here and what are they offering. That's how I feel about people that are approaching me. I don't want to talk to them because probably it's going to be about some, religious thing. And I'm not bashing religious people. I'm just saying that trying to convey or talk about a religion randomly on the street, it's really far-fetched concept for me to work. I guess it works, but it's far-fetched for me to be able to work. Interesting, you're crazy. At this point, I was just focused on getting it done. I'm laughing, I'm sorry, you don't see me, but I'm really laughing because your comment is just, you know what? I know that you are right. I know that you're right, but this is asylum. I can't just go for it. If it showed up, can't even speak anymore. Man, I want to do that so much. Okay, Bad Painting Friday. This is what we're going to do. Oh, there is not going to be Bad Painting Friday, unfortunately. I forgot to mention, yesterday I received the information from embassy. I have to go pick up my passport from the embassy. Yeah, and it's far away. It's 3.5 hours by train to get there. So I won't be able to make it back sooner than around 2-3 p.m. on Friday. Yeah, I don't think I will be able to make. Okay, let's do this. It's going to be a Bad Painting Friday on Saturday. Let's do that. And I'm going to set up a portrait, 2 portraits. And the front portrait is going to be this guy. And we're going to make him out of focus. And we're going to push this guy to full render. What do you think? I still can't stop laughing at your 2 comments. You are crazy. At this point, I would just focus on getting it done. Okay, it's really making me laugh. It's really making me laugh. because it perfectly summarizes everything that I hate about myself, and actually what other people hate about me as well. The thing is that I really um, that's happening. The fact that, never mind. Let's see. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, go for it. I'm being honest. That's what I would do. Your craziness is inspiring, though. It helps me to push through my paintings too. I know it's help. I know that it's that you don't mean it as a harmful thing. And I understand that, thinking and working on this, it could be 20-year project, because every day I'm going to learn something new. Every day I'm going to add some other stuff. You are absolutely right that at this point, and this is not only about, this is my advice to myself. At this point, I would really focus on finishing it, because we threw so many ideas on this. I don't know. Like I said, sometimes, not sometimes, I just can't help it. It is, if I do not like it, or if I like something more, I want to have it there. Yeah. Let me go get a little bit more tea. Um, I'll be right back. Just a second. I'm back. Man, you are so right. You are so right. I'm going to, just give me a second. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to screenshot this. Because it's so funny. And I'm screenshotting you're crazy. At this point, I would just focus on getting it done because it's that good. It is that good, and it hit me really, really hard in a positive way. And this is that atelier setup, honesty. Yeah, I should probably go and finish it. And there's another painting where we can try to do this. You know what? You know what is? It's just a difficult thing to go against. Glad to help. I think. Yeah, you helped. You helped a lot. As always, you can tell me to shut up if you go too far. Of course. Oh, no way. Do you know what? Let me. Okay. Let's just do this because we have what 10 more minutes. Okay. Let's do this. And this is for everyone who is interested to to be part of this experiment of having a shared virtual studio or virtual atelier rather. There is no such a thing as you're not going to be stopped here, or you're going to be kicked from the chat for having genuine interest in helping improving my own or our understanding about a painting, and being brutally honest. If it needs to be, it's welcome. The only thing that I will not stand for here, it's just blunt, stupid, insulting, and being hurtful for sake of just destroying someone's day, or just hurting feelings. So please, there is no such a thing. You're never going to be. I'm never going to shut you up for anything like this. So please, I actually encourage you to be insightful, because that's how I perceive it. I really perceive it as an insight that you're giving me, and you don't have to. You can keep it for yourself and be happy from my mistakes and doing these unnecessary mistakes. So please, don't ever think that I would shut you up for anything like this. It's very, very important for me, and I know we have a lot of fun. We're making jokes, but being serious and being honest, it's part of the process, right? So I appreciate the honesty more than anything else. And also, think about it from your point of view, is how much courage you had to gather to say something that might other people perceive as a insult. And I know it happened to me. I burned myself multiple times to the point that then we're just absolutely not arrogant, but we don't care, and we're like, no, whatever. But, and I don't want it to be that way. So you should actually give yourself a credit. And actually, no, I'm going to give you not credit. I'm going to praise you for actually gathering that much power and being comfortable talking or actually giving me this information. I take it as a sign of, I respect it. That's what I'm trying to say. I respect it tremendously, and I want you to continue with it. Also, I think of that same way as I do. That me trying to give you these ideas, it's not because I have nothing else to do during the day. I am asking, and you can hear me saying these things. I'm telling this to myself. That's the first. That's the beginning. And then when I know that I was there and I had these difficulties and I have these problems, then I'm being, maybe sometimes, my friends might, or people that know me a little better might say that I'm a little too intense then, trying to convince people that, okay, you are really, really going into the wrong direction. Not because you are a wrong person, but there's so many other factors that can influence you on that journey, or that particular person on that journey that I'm talking about. And it's just an imaginary situation. There's no anything specific that I would like to mention. So I appreciate your honesty. Don't ever feel that you have to suppress it. If the idea is to help another person, so that it got really, really also, I knew you would be able to take it. That helps. Same goes for you. Good. Yeah. I mean, and we can have, and still, even though this is a difficult and really kind of a touchy subject, I don't have a problem to address it. I actually started this stream with me telling you the truth that, I could find, like I said, a million excuses. I could say that I had to do this. I could say the very, very famous one, well, I'm doing this for free, so what do you want, right? It should be, you could be whatever you want, but then at the end, I don't have a problem with telling the truth, because like, why would I, what's the reason to lie here? Well, the only reason to lie is because I don't want to show myself as someone who makes mistakes. I do make mistakes. 95% of my work is mistake, as we established long time ago. So, made a mistake. But I'm here. I'm, You can bash me right now for not being a proper streamer, because how can you not charge your batteries for your cameras? That's streaming 101. All right. Speaking of streaming, let me go over a schedule one more time. Unfortunately, there is not going to be a bed painting Friday because I have to go to pick up my documents. It's going to take me at least a half a day. But since I'm traveling that far, I might stop by and get some more paint because, like you might have seen, I ran out of almost all of the pigments. And I need to go to Vienna. Or actually Vienna is close by, it's a couple kilometers to where I'm going to pick up my documents. So I'm all jump to another train and I might go to Vienna to pick up some more materials, and that is just, it's a whole day trip, right? Because it's a 4 hours for sure by train to get there, and 4 hours to get back. That's for sure. If it's a direct train and I don't need to do any transfers, it's not always the case. So it's 8 hours only traveling, so I wouldn't be able to stream. So Friday, we are not going to have a bed painting Friday, but we're going to do bed painting Friday on Saturday, and we will test the theory, and we'll see what's going to happen. I have an idea how to make it even more interesting. I don't want to. Well, maybe I'll surprise you. Maybe I'll talk about that. I will talk about that a little bit tomorrow. So that's for Friday. Tomorrow we're going to continue with this, and yeah, it was a good day today. If you are watching the stream or you're watching on the YouTube, and if you have more questions about the Mansell theory and the way how I mix the pigments today, I would be more than happy to share that information and go even maybe in the depth if you want to see more of that. So that's there. And when it comes to a painting, so this is a quick recap of what we did today. And you can, again, there is not that much painting done, but there is very important thing that are working, and that's what needs to be not necessarily addressed, pointed out, right? I was talking about that chain. The chain is very important because finally I'm starting to see that it's going toward that towards that direction that I see in my head. Also, I was talking about the Rembrandt, so let's check out my guy Rembrandt. Let me move this out of the way. Let me have a sip of this. I mean, this tea is delicious. It's a puer from white tea. For those of you who are interested. Let me do this. Because I want to show you something in the Rembrandt's book, and I kind of like the way having it on the palette, because I also have a because I have a camera pointing there. So, and luckily I have this is like a glass, so I can actually take this off. Put it on the side. Hopefully it's not going to break. I don't know. Okay, well, where to put it, right? On the sofa? Yeah, I think on the sofa is going to be great. Great. This is crazy. Okay, don't do this at home, right? But we have a clean surface that I can put the book on top of. Ah, there it is. Check him out, Rembrandt. That's the guy. Let me see a couple of comments. I'm surprised you lasted that long without those pigments. I'm impressed. Yeah, take a day off, no worries. Get your pigments, because I said so. I knew that would happen. You would have made the same mistake. Yeah. So thank you for ordering me to get new pigments. I know that you're excited, because that's what's up. Ooh, Rembrandt. So check out this book. I mean, this book is one of a kind. Let me just move this a little bit because I'm hitting a camera stand. Not even the camera stand, I'm hitting the stuff that I duct tape there. And let me put it here, like so, okay. Nice, and then let's just make it bigger. Cool. Um, so, what I wanted to talk about is, immediately I just opened the perfect page. Do you see what I'm talking about? I hope you do. I mean, this is very important when it comes to, I know this is a kind of in the middle. I don't like this, but these are details of a painting. There it is. We have a entirety. You can't even see it there. It's just a smudge, right? And this is what this is. This is actually abstract art. As its best, I believe, to describe for someone who is actual figurative painter. I mean, if you just squint your eyes, like really, like I'm squinting like this because I want to, and if you wear glasses, you just take down the glasses, right? If you're short-sighted, yeah. If you're short-sighted, you just took off the glasses. You just take off your glasses, and if you aren't, I'm just forcing myself to do that, and I can see immediately that this is like a kind of like an abstract brushstroke in you would see these, like you have a square canvas, some kind of a white background or some kind of a background, and then one brushstroke or one, how would you call it, like one smudge, and you would call it art. Well, that's when Rembrandt started with that abstraction, but then he brought it to a absolute perfection with a. So for me, the way he thinks about the way how I think about the abstract art is just it's a first step. And then, from point of view of Rembrandt, I almost feels like, okay, that's an abstract art. Let me show you what I can do with that abstract art. And then you just want to zoom in or pinch in on that perfect blouse. I mean, check this out. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I let you just, I really enjoyed this because you don't see this every day when it comes to painting. I mean, Rembrandt, hello? Just give us a chance to paint a little bit. I mean, imagine that someone is one of, if not the greatest portrait painter ever, period. So this guy, and I'm calling him guy because we're chilling with Rembrandt, we're friends. So this guy then comes and hits you with sleeve like this in the perfect portrait. I mean, and then the pearls on the top, and then let me just grab like. Let me give a pearls on the top on the perfectly smooth portrait, like ideal. I think this isn't this. It just I feel this is Saskia. Isn't it Saskia? As a model, I mean, I can't. I believe that it almost feels like it's a Saskia that he painted there. His wife. And then he hits you with the perfect portrait. And then, like, you know what, guys? Let me just show off a little bit. And he threw this perfect. I mean, this is crazy. I have. When you have when you get so excited that you have like a lump in your throat. That's what happened to me when I was looking at. I was trying to talk about a Rembrandt. I mean, are you serious with that portrait? So that's the portrait, and then he hits you with this. And then also, let me show you that I can do a fuzzy kind of thing on top of it, next to a hair. What? Wait, what? So, I don't... Do you understand? Right now, I think this is, looking at my painting without the context, might seem like I'm doing good, right? No, no, I'm not. I mean, check this out. I mean, look at my sleeves, and then I'm sorry, and look at this sleeve right here. I'm sorry. I'm going to put it over the whole screen, and then check this sleeve. and tell me who is doing better. I mean, I don't think I need to say who's doing better. It's just and I'm sorry, I'm laughing while I'm trying to talk. It's crazy. Let me just correct this. So I pulled it in like a little bit more. I'm sorry. I'm laughing while I'm saying this, but you know, I mean, truly tell me like who's doing better. It's just, it makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh. And then look at here. So we have three portraits, not necessarily portraits, but we have three heads in the painting. 1, 2, 3. Top, second, and the third in terms of how are they executed in the technique, right? And when I say executed, this is the most developed, this is the second, and this is the third. But you don't really go here for a portrait. This figure right here, that's how I feel. This figure right here, it's the only thing that it's here. It's because it's helping that relationship. Do you see that curve that is happening there? I think that's the only thing, because even when you look at her, she is painted flat. I know that, you know, he created like a you can see her hair. He has a little bit of this. But this looks way more flat when you look at that painting or the part. Like this, the head looks, it's painted, but it's flat. It does not have the roundness that you can see, like you can feel it here immediately. There's no question about that. It almost like a Rembrandt does not want you to be here at all. He's using this only as a buffer or as a mantinel or whatever, as a barrier for you to just perfect. Whereas this tertiary portrait, it's almost invisible, but because it's a portrait and it's surrounded by darkness, you have to go there with your eyes. Why? Well, because it's in the darkness, you can't really see it, you don't know what it is, and you want to examine it. It's just like a naturally, like if you're in the dark room, you start looking around and you trying to identify things in the darkness. I don't understand where or how far was Rembrandt in terms of, like, I don't want to say sociology or in like understanding of a human behavior. That's why his paintings are so good, I think. You see the curve? Yeah. Although I still think your painting is awesome. Okay, all right. I'm smiling right now. You just made my day. You made my day. My day was good, but you just made it 100 times better. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And it's that's something that makes me want to continue working. Not only continue working, that's what makes me want to actually repaint everything to make it even better. Because I want people to have similar experience than what I have when I look at Rembrandt. I don't think that I will ever be able to create something as powerful, as strong, visually, to match feelings that I have when I look at Rembrandt. But I want to get as close as possible. And you know what the problem is? The biggest problem is that you're looking at this and you're thinking, man, this is so good. let me look on the other page, and then you have like page after page after page of absolute. I mean, do I? What are we doing? What are we doing here? I mean, page after page of awesomeness. Like whatever. Like look at this. Do you really? I mean, what is this composition? I'm pretty sure that Rembrandt painted this. Not pretty sure. I like to think, let me put it this way. I like to think that Rembrandt was like, okay, let me show you what I do while you paint irregular portraits, painters around me. It almost feel, I don't even know how to describe what I feel when I see this. For me, it almost feel like all the painters around were like hockey players that are playing a hockey match of their life. And then Rembrandt shows up, and he's a figure skater, and he's giving goals left and right, however he wants, while he's performing his routine on the ice while they're playing hockey. That's how I feel that Rembrandt. That's the level. That's the difference between level of a closest painter to him at that time. Even today, I would say. We can even say even today. That's how I feel about Rembrandt. yeah. Imagine that. Imagine that you are a hockey player. You are playing hockey. You are just, two teams. It's a draw. You are giving your best, and then you see a figure skater skating through the whole it's not the court, ice ring, throwing thurls, doing like these complicated pirouettes with the hockey sticks and giving goals left and right like no one is even there. While drinking coffee, even, you can add. I don't know. It's just that's the level of Rembrandt when it comes to painting, and how far away rest of the field was. Yeah. And I really want to. Here's the thing. I'm just going to let me just make this smaller so we can close up today's stream. So I want to leave you with these words, because, or not even words, with this thought that who Rembrandt was against his contemporaries, and is there something to think about. Is there, in present day, do we have a chance to create such a gap when it comes to painting or any art form? Because there's so much information, so many sophisticated ways to work, so many great painters that are here right now. And also information can be achieved instantly, so I have immediate understanding of what my peers are doing, right? Back in the day, you couldn't even fathom or imagine what Rembrandt was painting if you lived in Italy. Like you would be like, okay, we're Italians, we're doing the best work that there is, and then this guy shows up out of nowhere with the portraits being absolutely like out of this world. It has to be. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know. Maybe That's something to think of instead of just doom scrolling, because that's what I have to be careful about, because it's just a really Pinterest doom scrolling. Oh, too much. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining this creative discourse, and hope to see you tomorrow with another What Would Rembrandt Do, probably, or What Would Rembrandt Do edition 2, or part 2 rather. Let's see what's going to happen tomorrow. I think I'm going to continue with that, spreading it to this area even more as I planned. And I said that I'm going to be here, but I need to create that link and that chain. So it took us a while, because also I started an hour later, and also I was trying to be a little bit more precise and specific with the mixtures to show you the thought process behind. When I paint on my own, it goes a little quicker because I don't need to, you know, not necessarily that I need to. It's difficult for me to talk and think and work at the same time. Or trying to explain something. So hope to see you tomorrow. I wish you an awesome rest of the day, and stay cool. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.